Ever wondered which country has the women with the biggest buttocks? The answer might surprise you. Welcome to our deep dive into a very interesting topic, the average size of women's buttocks around the world. This isn't about vanity or stereotypes, it's about understanding our diverse human body shapes across the globe. Market research company Gitnux has done the work, collecting data detailing the average hip size for women in 17 different countries. And you know what they say, the hips don't lie. So, where do we find the most ample assets? South Africa takes the top spot with an average hip size of a whopping 41.73 inches. Argentina follows closely behind, with women there boasting an average of 41 inches. And in a turn that might have you scratching your head, Sweden, yes, Sweden, comes in third with 40.9 inches. You're probably wondering, where does my country rank, or what could possibly account for these surprising results? Well, you'll have to stick around to find out where the US and UK stand in this ranking, and what factors could be behind these surprising results. Let's dive into the details of the top 5 countries with the largest average hip size for women. Now, the data might surprise you. On the top spot, we have South Africa with an average hip size of a whopping 41.73 inches. Now that's something. Moving on, we have Argentina closely tailing South Africa with an average hip size of 41 inches. It's interesting to note that Buenos Aires, Argentina's capital city, is globally recognized as a hub for plastic surgery, including procedures like Brazilian butt lifts. Could this have a role to play in Argentina's ranking? Only time will tell. Now here's a curveball for you. Sweden, a country often associated with tall, svelte and blonde women, comes in third with an average hip size of 40.9 inches. It seems like we need to reassess our stereotypes, doesn't it? Next up, we have Greece and Germany completing our top 5 with their average hip sizes of 40.74 and 40.6 inches respectively. Now you might be wondering, where is the US in all of this? Well, the US just missed the top 5, coming in at number 6 with an average hip size of 40.2 inches. It seems that despite the country's reputation for obesity and plastic surgery, it couldn't quite make the cut for the top 5. And as for the UK, it didn't even make the list. Quite surprising, isn't it? So there you have it. The top 5 countries with the largest average hip size for women. It's a fascinating mix, challenging stereotypes and expectations. But remember, these are just averages and do not represent every individual's body shape or size. The US may not have made the top 5, but it's not far behind. So, where do the US and UK fall in this ranking? You're likely wondering. Well, let's dive into that. The US, often known for its high obesity rates and booming plastic surgery industry, didn't quite make it to the top 5. With an average hip size of 40.2 inches, the US came in at a close 6th. This might come as a surprise considering the prevalent stereotype of the American love for extreme sizes: big cars, big buildings, big meals, and yes, big bodies. But in the case of women's buttocks, the US just fell short of the top 5. What about the UK, you ask? Well, the UK didn't even make it onto the list. The absence of data here is rather interesting given the UK's diverse population and its own share of obesity concerns. It's also worth noting that the UK has a robust cosmetic surgery industry, although its focus seems more on breast augmentation than buttock enhancement. So what could explain these rankings? Well, a number of factors come into play, such as diet, lifestyle, genetics, and yes, the popularity of certain cosmetic procedures. Obesity rates could also play a role. In the US, for instance, more than 1/3 of adults are obese, which could contribute to larger hip sizes. In the UK, meanwhile, obesity rates are also high, but the lack of data makes it hard to draw a definitive link to average hip size. Now let's talk about plastic surgery. In the US, procedures like the Brazilian butt lift, which transfers fat from other parts of the body to the buttocks, have been on the rise. This trend could certainly influence average sizes, but evidently it hasn't been enough to push the US into the top 5. The UK, on the other hand, hasn't seen quite the same enthusiasm for buttock-enhancing procedures, which might partly explain its absence from the list. Despite these results, it's important to remember that size doesn't define beauty. The diversity of body shapes and sizes across the globe is something to be celebrated, not ranked. After all, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and what's most important is feeling comfortable and confident in your own skin. Ever wondered why humans, especially women, have larger buttocks compared to other mammals? Well, there's a fascinating science behind this. According to Darcy Shapiro, an evolutionary anthropologist at Rutgers University, the answer lies in our unique mode of locomotion. Unlike other mammals, humans primarily walk on two legs. This bipedalism has led to the evolution of larger buttocks in humans, but there's more to it. A study published in the journal Evolution and Human Behavior delves deeper into the correlation between backside size and spinal structure. The researchers found that men were most attracted to images of women with a specific spinal curvature, a 45-degree arc from back to buttocks. This particular curve would have enabled pregnant women in our evolutionary past to balance their weight over their hips more efficiently. Now, why would this be attractive? The answer takes us back to the survival of the fittest. These women, with their well-balanced bodies, would have been more effective at foraging during pregnancy, less likely to suffer spinal injuries, and better equipped to carry out multiple pregnancies without injury. In essence, they were seen as more capable providers for their offspring. And so, men who preferred these women would have had mates who could better provide for their children, ensuring the survival of their lineage. This research suggests that the evolution of larger buttocks in women could be a sign of a woman's youth and fertility, making it a desirable trait from an evolutionary perspective. The size of a woman's backside, then, is not just about aesthetics or cultural trends, but a complex interplay of evolutionary forces, survival instincts, and sexual selection. So, it turns out that a big backside could have been a desirable trait for our ancestors. What factors might influence the size of a woman's behind? You see, a woman's behind isn't just about the jeans she wears or the chair she sits on. It's a complex interplay of several factors, each contributing to the final outcome in its unique way. Let's start with bone density. Essentially, our bones provide the framework for our bodies. A larger bone structure can lead to a larger behind, much like a bigger canvas can hold more paint. In South Africa, for example, some research suggests that black women, who make up a significant majority of the population, might have a larger bone structure than white women. This could be one reason why South African women top the charts when it comes to backside size. Next up, we have genetics. Much like how we inherit our parents' eye color or height, we also inherit their predisposition to store fat in certain areas of the body. Your genes can determine whether you're more apple-shaped or pear-shaped, and yes, whether you have a larger or smaller behind. Then there's diet and overall weight. The food we consume and the calories we take in can greatly impact our body shape and size. More calories in than out can lead to weight gain, and depending on your genetic predisposition, some of this weight might find its way to your backside. For instance, in South Africa, over 2/3 of women are either overweight or obese, which could contribute to larger hip sizes. Lastly, let's not forget activity levels. Regular physical activity can help shape and tone various parts of the body, including the backside. The type of exercise you engage in can also play a role. For example, exercises that target the glutes can lead to a firmer, rounder behind. Now, let's take a look at Argentina, which came in second for curviest women. Here, a combination of factors could be at play. The country has a large indigenous population and high plastic surgery rates, both of which could influence backside size. So while these rankings are interesting, they're just part of the story. So there you have it, a look at the average size of women's buttocks around the world. We've journeyed from South Africa, with the largest average size, to India, with the most slender. We've explored the role of genetics, diet, overall weight, and even the impact of plastic surgery. This exploration has underscored the incredible diversity of the human form, a diversity that is as varied as the countries we've discussed. We've also delved into the science behind backside size, from evolutionary adaptations that enable bipedal locomotion to the influence of spinal structure on aesthetic preferences. This complexity of factors highlights the fact that size is not a simple matter of more or less, but a multifaceted interaction of biology, culture, and individual uniqueness. Yet it's crucial to remember that these numbers are just that, numbers. They don't define beauty or worth. They don't tell the full story of a woman's strength, resilience, or character. It's important to celebrate the diversity of women's bodies, but even more vital to understand that every woman, regardless of her measurements, is beautiful. Remember, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, and every woman is beautiful in her own unique way.